They declared me insane, and I was almost hit by a car. I woke up in the hospital and I heard the nurses whispering, "That's 6 this month. Old people with fake dementia, and then dead." I wasn't the only one. If this story touches your heart, subscribe. Every day we bring real stories that could be yours. Tell us where you're watching from. My name is David Miller. I am 78 years old, and 3 weeks ago, legally, I stopped being myself. I am sitting in a hospital chair with a purple bruise covering half my face. The nurse, who just took my blood pressure, turns to her colleague in the doorway. They speak quietly, but my ears still work perfectly. "That's 6 this month," the older one says, a woman in her 60 with her hair in a ponytail. The younger one furrows her brow. "6 what, Brenda?" The woman glances at me and lowers her voice even more. "Old people, diagnosed with dementia, who end up here after a suspicious accident. This man walked out of the supermarket crying and didn't look when he crossed the street. The car almost killed him." My heart stops. 6. I am not the only one. 3 days earlier, I was at the bank. It was Tuesday morning. The air conditioning was blowing cold and smelled like old coffee and paper. I had my card in my hand, the same one I've used for 30 years. Mr. Johnson, the manager who has known me since I opened my account, looked at his computer screen. His face changed. He turned pale. He looked back at the screen, then at me. "David." He cleared his throat. "Your signature has been rejected." The word rejected echoed in my ears. Behind me, the line of people sighed impatiently. Printers spit out paper. Phones rang. Everything was normal for everyone except me. "What do you mean, rejected?" My voice came out shaky, old. Johnson loosened his tie. "There is a court order, David. Your account is frozen. Your son filed the paperwork." I left the bank like a zombie. My hands were shaking so much I could barely dial Ryan's number. 1, 2, 3 rings. "Hello?" His voice sounded busy. Rushed. "Son?" "The bank says my signature is worthless. It says you filed paperwork." Silence on the other end. I heard voices in the background. Female laughter. "Oh yeah, Dad, it's for your own good. I've already handled everything." "My good? Handled what? What are you talking about, Ryan? What did you handle?" Another silence. Longer. Uncomfortable. "I'll tell you later. I can't right now. I have an important meeting." And before I could say another word, click. The call disconnected. I stood on the sidewalk with the phone pressed to my ear, feeling the world spin around me. People pushed past me, but I didn't exist to anyone anymore. I got home with my legs shaking. In the mailbox was a white envelope. Official seal. Notary Public. I opened it right there, standing in the entryway. "Mr. Miller, we are hereby informing you that your son, Ryan Miller, has presented a medical certificate issued by Dr. Michael Evans, establishing that you suffer from advanced senile dementia and consequently require a legal guardian for the administration of your assets and personal decisions." I read that line once, 2, 3 times. The words blurred in front of my eyes. Advanced senile dementia. Legal guardian. Ryan Miller. My son. My own son had declared me insane. The envelope fell from my hands. My legs gave out. I sat down on the front step and, for the first time in 2 years since Sarah died, I cried. And suddenly I was back in that hospital. 2 years ago, Sarah, lying in the ICU bed, connected to a tangle of cables and tubes. The machines beeped every 3 seconds. Beep, beep, beep. Half of her face was paralyzed after the stroke. Her left eye drooped, her mouth twisted. But her eyes, God, her eyes were alive, desperate. I had spent the afternoon there, dozing in the plastic chair next to her. It was 11 at night when Ryan walked in. He smelled strange. An expensive, sweet perfume I didn't recognize. He approached the bed. "Hi, Mom." Sarah looked at him, and then something strange happened. She tried to move her good hand, the right one, as if to push him away. I stood up. "Easy, my love. It's Ryan. It's your son." She moved her lips. Ryan, and I, like the idiot I was, thought she was calling for him. But no, she was pointing at him. She was warning me. The phone vibrated in my pocket. Name on the screen. Emily. "Honey? Dad!" Her voice broke immediately. A sob. Emily, what's wrong? We went to your house. Ryan. Another sob. Ryan slammed the door in our faces. Literally, we knocked and knocked. He opened it, saw us, and just slammed it shut. I heard noise in the background. Voices. Who is with you? Chloe. She's here too. Suddenly another voice. Higher. More desperate. My youngest daughter. Dad! He called us hysterical. He said we just want your money, that we should leave you alone or he'll call the police. Chloe's voice broke into tears. Emily got back on the phone. He says you're confused, that we're upsetting you, that the doctor ordered us not to bother you. Something inside me shattered. Dad, did you really go to the doctor? Emily had her lawyer voice back, that serious tone she used in court. Yes, about 3 weeks ago, Ryan insisted. He said it was routine. And what happened at that appointment? I closed my eyes, trying to remember every detail. It was quick. The office was very white, very cold. The doctor was young, 40-something, slicked back hair. He asked me simple questions. What day was it? Who was the president? Where were we? And you answered fine? Everything. I answered everything fine, Emily. The doctor even smiled and said I was perfect for my age. I heard Emily take a deep breath. Then the diagnosis is fake. But it's signed, honey. It's stamped. It's official. Official papers can be forged, Dad. Especially when someone pays well. The word pays hung in the air like poison. That night, 2 in the morning found me sitting in the darkness of the living room, unable to sleep. Then I heard something. A noise in the kitchen. The creak of wood. Someone had been in my house. I got up, walked slowly. On the table was a file that wasn't there when I went to bed. Ryan had a key. Had he come in while I was sleeping? I opened it. The paper rustled, obscenely loud in the silence. It was the complete medical diagnosis. I looked for my magnifying glass. The small letters danced. 78-year-old patient. Severe disorientation. Inability to perform basic tasks. Impaired memory. Every word was a perfectly crafted lie. I kept reading, and then I saw it. Date of the report. March 11th. I pulled out my phone, looked at the calendar. Medical consultation. March 12th. He declared me insane one day before he met me. I shot up so fast the chair fell backward. I went to the bathroom, turned on all the lights. I stood in front of the mirror and forced myself to look. That man looking back at me was 78 years old. His skin was wrinkled, sun-spotted from 50 years of working outside. His hair was white, thinning, but his eyes were clear, awake, furious. I touched my own face as if for the first time. Am I crazy? I asked my reflection. Am I really losing my mind? I closed my eyes, breathed. What did you eat today? Eggs with beans and toast. Yesterday? Lentil soup that Chloe brought me. Your wife's full name? Sarah Marie Miller? Born April 23, 1947 in Ohio. Died January 8th, 2 years ago, at 4. 20 inches the morning. I remembered everything, every single detail. I was not crazy. The next day, Ryan arrived as if nothing was wrong. He brought bags of Chinese food. The smell of sweet and sour sauce filled the kitchen. How are you, Dad? He sat across from me with that smile that I used to find affectionate and now made me sick. He opened the plastic containers. Fried rice, chop suey, spring rolls. I watched him in silence. 1,000 things wanted to burst out of my mouth. I wanted to scream at him. I wanted to ask him how he dared to do this to his own father. I wanted to grab him by the collar and shake him until he told me the truth. But then I remembered Emily's voice. If you confront him now, he'll say you're aggressive, paranoid, and you'll lose. So I took a deep breath. I looked down, and I said in a trembling voice, Fine, son, although sometimes I have trouble remembering if I took my blood pressure pills this morning. Did you see if I took them? I saw something flash in his eyes. Satisfaction. Relief. Triumph. My confusion made him happy. Ryan stayed for dinner. He talked about his work, his wife Valerie, his plans. I nodded, smiled, made vague comments. Dad, you look tired. Why don't you go to bed? I got up slowly, dragging my feet like a sick old man. Yes, son. I think I am tired." He walked me to my room. He tucked me in as if I were a child. "Rest, Dad. I'll come see you again tomorrow." He closed the door. I heard his footsteps walking away. I heard the front door close. I waited 5 minutes, 10. Then I got up. I went to the old computer in the study, the one Sarah taught me to use to see pictures of the grandkids. I turned on the screen, I opened Google, and I searched. Dr. Michael Evans, Chicago. I waited. The page loaded slowly, and there it was. An article from a major Chicago newspaper, year 2019. The headline read, "Doctor loses license for forging medical certificates and defrauding elderly patients." The photo, the same man, the same one who had declared me insane. And I saw something in his eyes in that old photo, the same glint I had just seen in my son's eyes. 2 years and 3 months ago, Sarah was in bed 7 of the ICU at General Hospital. She had suffered a massive stroke while watering the plants in the yard. I found her lying next to the geranium pots, half of her body limp, her mouth twisted. The ambulance took 22 minutes to arrive. 22 minutes that felt like 22 years. At the hospital, the doctors told me she had severe brain damage, that she probably wouldn't walk again, that maybe she wouldn't talk again. But Sarah was stubborn. She always was. Her eyes stayed alive, bright, trying to communicate what her broken mouth could no longer say. I spent my days sitting next to her, holding her cold hand, telling her everything would be okay. But it wasn't okay, and she knew it before I did. It was night, past 11. I had fallen asleep in the plastic chair next to Sarah's bed. The constant beeping of the machines lulled me like a grim lullaby. Beep, beep, beep. A sound woke me up. Voices. I opened my eyes. Ryan had just entered. But he wasn't alone. A woman was with him. Tall, blonde, dressed like she was coming from a party, high heels clicking on the linoleum floor, long nails, painted blood red, a designer bag hanging from her arm. "Dad, this is Valerie." Ryan was smiling like a teenager in love. "She's my girlfriend." I rubbed my eyes. "Your girlfriend? You never told me about her." Valerie extended her hand. "A pleasure, Mr. Miller." Her voice was smooth, too smooth. I looked at Sarah. She was staring at this woman with wide eyes, and then I saw her right hand, the one she could still move a little, lift up. Not to greet, to push away, to reject, to warn. 3 weeks later, Ryan came home with news. I was making soup to take to Sarah at the hospital. "Dad, I have something to tell you." He looked nervous, excited. "Valerie and I are getting married." I dropped the spoon in the pot. "Getting married? So fast, son? I barely know her." "You barely know her." He laughed. "Dad, when you know, she's the woman of my life." The woman of his life. My son was 48 years old and had never had a serious relationship. And now, suddenly, the woman of his life? "And what does your mother say?" He looked away. "I went to tell her yesterday. She couldn't say much." Of course she couldn't, because her mouth didn't work, but her eyes did. And when I went to the hospital that afternoon and told her, I saw Sarah moving her head from side to side. "No, no, no." But I, like the fool I was, thought she was just confused by the medication. "Dad, Mom is trying to tell you something." Emily was standing next to her mother's bed. It was Sunday. We had all gone to visit her. Ryan, Emily, Chloe, my brother Walter, in his wheelchair, his wife Linda. Sarah was agitated. She was moving her right hand, pointing to her nightstand. Pa, purr. Her voice came out hoarse, slurred. "You want a letter, Mom?" She nodded desperately. "A letter for who?" She pointed at Ryan. I understood. I thought she wanted to write him a letter of blessing for his marriage. That afternoon I sat down and wrote what I thought Sarah wanted to say. "My dear son Ryan, I am filled with joy to know you have found love." When I read it to her, Sarah shook her head violently. The machines beeped faster. A nurse ran in. "What happened?" "I don't know. She just got upset." The nurse asked me to step out, but before I left I saw Sarah's eyes. They weren't filled with joy. They were filled with terror. The wedding was on a Thursday at 10 in the morning at the courthouse. Quick, impersonal. Ryan wore a new suit. Valerie wore a tight white dress that showed every curve. Emily and Chloe were there, serious, polite, but cold. My daughters were never good at faking it. Walter arrived in his wheelchair, pushed by Linda. "Where is Sarah?" the judge asked. "In the hospital. She's not doing well." I signed as the witness, as the father, representing both of us. Afterward, we went to a restaurant. Nothing fancy. Valerie looked at everything with critical eyes. During the toast, she turned to me. "David, someday you have to show us your house. Ryan told me it's beautiful." The way she said beautiful made my skin crawl, as if she wasn't talking about a home but sizing up a property. Emily nudged Chloe. I saw them exchange a look that said everything. It was an early morning in January. The phone rang at 3:30 inches the morning. Those calls never bring good news. "Mr. Miller?" "Yes, this is General Hospital. I'm sorry to inform you that Mrs. Miller had another massive stroke." My heart stopped. "How is she?" Silence. "I'm sorry to say we couldn't do anything. She passed away 20 minutes ago. I got dressed like an automaton. I drove through empty streets. When I got to the hospital, a nurse took me to the room. Sarah was there, still, at peace for the first time in 2 years. They had closed her eyes. They had removed all the tubes. But there was something in her right hand, a crumpled piece of paper. The nurse handed it to me. "She wrote this yesterday afternoon. It took her a long time. Over an hour to write this." I unfolded the paper. The handwriting was shaky, almost illegible. But I could read it. James Smith. And an address. A notary. Sarah had used her last strength to write the name of a notary. The wake was at the funeral home. 2 days for the viewing. Ryan cried like I had never seen him cry. He threw himself on the coffin screaming, "Mom, Mom, forgive me." Valerie was by his side, dressed in black from head to toe. Perfect makeup. Not a single tear. Stiletto heels. At a wake. Emily whispered something to Chloe. I didn't hear what she said, but I saw Chloe's face. Disgust. Indignation. My daughters took turns hugging me, holding me up when my legs couldn't. Ryan, on the other hand, held on to Valerie. He clung to her like a life raft, and she held him, stroked him, whispered things in his ear. During the service, I saw her look at her phone, check messages, and smile. At my wife's funeral, that woman was smiling at something she read on her phone. A month after the funeral, things started to change. I was in that thick fog of grief. Some days I couldn't remember if I had eaten lunch. Other days I'd call Chloe Sarah without realizing it. It was normal. It was grief. It was age. But Ryan noted everything. "Dad, you left the key in the lock today. Dad, you forgot to turn off the stove. Dad, you called me Ryan instead of..." Wait, I would laugh. "It's old age, son." But he didn't laugh. He would take out a small notebook and write date, time, incident, as if he were documenting, as if he were building a case file. Emily noticed. "Why are you writing down everything Dad does?" He closed the notebook. "To keep a record, just in case we need to see a doctor." Just in case. Those words should have warned me. "Dad, you need to get a checkup." Ryan had shown up unannounced on a Tuesday afternoon. He brought brochures for a clinic. "It's normal at your age. A general checkup. I'll go with you." I didn't want to go. I hated hospitals since Sarah died. But Ryan insisted. "Do it for me, Dad. Do it for your daughters. Do it for the grandkids. They need you to be healthy." How could I say no to that? "All right, son. Let's make the appointment." He smiled. "I already made it. It's tomorrow at 10. The next day he picked me up in his car. He drove to an expensive part of the city. A glass building. An office on the 12th floor. Very elegant. Very expensive. The receptionist greeted us like she was expecting us. "David Miller, right?" I hadn't even told her my name. The waiting room was cold. Air conditioning on full blast. Interior design magazines on a glass table. Soft music. There was another person there. A woman about my age, accompanied by a younger woman. Her daughter? The woman looked confused. "Who are you?" she asked the younger woman. "I'm your daughter, Mom. I'm Caroline. We're at the doctor's." "I don't know you." The daughter sighed, exhausted. "I know, Mom, I know. I saw them go into the office. I saw them come out 20 minutes later. The daughter was carrying papers. Lots of papers. The woman looked just as confused. I looked at Ryan. He was looking at his phone, smiling at something. David Miller, the doctor will see you now. I stood up. Ryan took my arm. I'll go in with you, Dad. It wasn't a question. It was a statement. We went in together, and without knowing it, I had just signed my own death warrant. The doctor's name was Michael Evans. 40-something, black hair slicked back, a commercial smile, pearly white teeth, light blue shirt, expensive tie. He shook my hand with exaggerated firmness. David, a pleasure. Please sit down. I sat. Ryan sat next to me. The doctor pulled out a file. It already had my name on it. Well, David, we're going to ask some simple questions, okay? I nodded. What day is it today? Tuesday, March 12th. Who is the president? I told him the name. Where are we? In your office. Downtown Chicago. The doctor smiled. He typed on his computer. Ryan shifted uncomfortably in his chair. Perfect, David, you're doing great for your age. But as he said that, his fingers kept typing. And even though I couldn't see the screen, something told me that what he was writing didn't match what his mouth had just said. We left the office 15 minutes later. There was no physical exam. No tests. No MRI. Just questions. And a smile that didn't reach the doctor's eyes. I walked into that consultation as David Miller. I walked out as nobody. That night, lying in bed, I couldn't get that doctor out of my head. Michael Evans, slicked back hair, perfect smile, teeth too white. But his accent wasn't from around here. I've lived in this state all my life. I know how we talk. That man had a strange lilt to certain words. Midwestern, I'd later realize. And on his office wall hung a huge diploma, University of Chicago, framed in expensive wood with gold seals. Very pretty. Very official. Very fake. Something didn't add up, and that date on the diagnosis didn't add up either. March 11th. But I went on the 12th, one day earlier. I decided something that night. The next day I was going back to the bank. I was going to demand to see that document. I was going to confront someone. The next day, at 9 in the morning sharp, I walked into the bank. Mr. Johnson was at his desk drinking coffee. He saw me walk in and his face went pale. He tried to hide behind his computer. Good morning, David. His voice trembled. I want to see the document that froze my account. Now, I can't show you that without authorization. Johnson, we've known each other for 20 years. Look me in the eyes and tell me you can't. He loosened his tie. Sweat appeared on his forehead. He looked side to side, making sure no one was watching. He opened a drawer, pulled out a manila folder. It's the order from Judge Miller and the medical certificate your son presented. He handed it to me with trembling hands. I opened it. There it was. Signature of Dr. Michael Evans. Official stamp. And that damn date. This date is wrong. I tapped the paper. Excuse me? Johnson leaned in. It says March 11th. I went to the consultation on the 12th. A day later. How did he write my diagnosis before he met me? Johnson looked at the paper, then at me, then at the paper again. He got paler. It must be a clerical error. A system glitch. Sometimes the dates. Or it's fraud. The word landed like a bomb. David, I just follow procedures. If there's a paper signed by a doctor and a judge, a fake doctor and a corrupt judge. His silence said it all. He made me a copy. Be careful, David. It was the only thing he said. But his eyes said more. They said, You're right, but I can't help you. I left the bank with that copy in my hand. I walked 6 blocks. My legs hurt, but I didn't care. The glass building where Evans's office was shimmered in the sun. I went up the elevator to the 12th floor. The receptionist looked up. She recognized me. Mister. Miller, do you have an appointment? No. But I need to see the doctor. It's urgent. He's with a patient right now. I'll wait. I sat on those white couches. I was not moving. She made a call, spoke softly, hung up. The doctor will see you in 20 minutes. I waited. 20 minutes exactly, a door opened. A couple came out. An older woman, maybe 70. Her son holding her arm. She looked confused. Where are we? The son was carrying a folder full of papers. I watched the scene in slow motion. It was me. It was Ryan. The same play. Dr. Evans will see you now. I walked in. The office smelled like disinfectant and lies. Evans was sitting behind his glass desk. He looked up from his computer. His perfect smile froze when he saw me. David, what are you doing here? Is something wrong? Yes, doctor, something is very wrong. I closed the door behind me. I took the folded paper from my pocket. I threw it on his desk. I came to ask you something. How did you write my dementia diagnosis one day before you met me? The color drained from his face. His eyes darted to the paper. He read the date. Swallowed. That must be a transcription error. Sometimes when entering data into the system. Liar. My voice came out firmer than I expected. You wrote that diagnosis before you saw me. You had it ready. He stood up from his chair. Mr. Miller, I think you're confused. Your condition. My condition? I laughed. A laugh with no joy. My dementia condition? The one you invented for money? He turned red. I don't know what you're talking about. How much did my son pay you, doctor? $10,000? 20? Or was it more because the house is worth a lot? He walked to the door. This conversation is over. I need you to leave. But I didn't move. No. This conversation ended 3 months ago, when you decided to ruin my life for a stack of cash. He opened the door. Get out, or I'm calling security. I left. But before I did, I turned around. I know who you are, Evans. I know about Chicago. I know about the 30 other seniors. And I am going to expose you. I saw the panic in his eyes, and I knew I had won that battle. That afternoon, while making coffee at home, my cell phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. But something made me pick it up. Hello? Silence. Breathing. Then a woman's voice. Older. Tired. Broken. David Miller? Yes. Who is this? It doesn't matter who I am. It matters what I know. I saw you go to Evans's office today. I saw you leave. Be careful with that man. He is not who he says he is. He has done this before. Many times. To my husband. To others. Investigate him. And be careful of the person who took you there. My heart stopped. Who are you? Someone who lost everything because of him. Someone who was too late. Click. The call disconnected. I tried calling back. The number you have dialed is not in service. That night, I grabbed my phone. Mason had taught me how to use Google. Grandpa, look. You just type what you want to know and hit enter. I typed with my clumsy fingers. Dr. Michael Evans fraud. Nothing relevant. Clinic ads. Medical pages. I tried differently. Michael Evans, Dr. Chicago. Enter. The little wheel spun. I waited, and then it appeared. An article. A Chicago newspaper. Date. The 15th of August, 2019. The headline hit me. Doctor loses license for forging documents and defrauding elderly patients. I opened it, trembling. There was a photo. The same man, 5 years younger, but the same. The same slick-back hair, the same shark-like smile. Michael Evans, permanently barred from practicing medicine in Illinois. I read the whole article. Then I read it again, and again. Michael Evans had operated in Chicago for 7 years. He forged diagnoses of dementia, Alzheimer's, mental disorders. He charged between $5,000 and $20,000 per fake certificate. He worked with corrupt lawyers and unscrupulous family members who wanted to inherit early. When they caught him, he had already ruined the lives of at least 30 seniors. Some had died. Others were living in nursing homes, believing they were crazy when they weren't. They took his license, they sued him, but he never went to prison. He paid a fine and disappeared. And now he was here, in this city, doing the exact same thing, and my son, my own son, had hired him? The phone almost fell from my hands. I called Emily. It was 3 a.m, but I couldn't wait. 2 rings. Dad? What happened? Are you okay? Her sleepy voice woke up fast. Honey, I need you to investigate something. Urgent. What is it? A doctor named Michael Evans. From Illinois. Lost his license in Chicago in 2019 for forging medical diagnoses and scamming the elderly. I need you to find everything on him. Cases here. Complaints. Everything. Silence. Then her voice changed. It became her lawyer voice. Cold, calculating. Is that the doctor who diagnosed you? Yes, and the one Ryan paid to declare me insane. I heard her take a deep breath. Son of a... I had never heard my daughter use that language. Give me 24 hours, Dad. I'm going to find everything. Absolutely everything. We hung up. I sat in the darkness of my living room, staring at that photo of Evans on my phone. His shark smile, his cold eyes, and I knew that the next day my life was going to change. That I couldn't keep pretending. That I had to act. But I didn't know that before Emily could help me, before I could do anything, my life would almost end at a supermarket. I didn't know that the next day, while trying to buy milk and bread, my card would be declined in front of a line of people. That I would walk out humiliated. That I would walk without looking. That a car would come too fast. And that the impact would send me flying through the air like a rag doll. But I found that out later. When I woke up in a hospital, surrounded by machines. The cashier was young, 20-something. Hair in a ponytail, green supermarket uniform. She looked at me with pity. Sir, your card isn't going through. Try it again, please. She swiped it again. The machine made that sound. Beep, beep, beep. Declined. Behind me the line was growing. 5 people. 6. 7. I heard sighs. A woman said loudly, "Come on, old man, hurry up." My hands started to sweat. "Do you have another card?" "No, just this one. Cash?" I looked in my wallet. 2 $1 bills. Some change, $5 total. "I only have 5. She looked at the screen. "The total is 18. I felt the world shrinking. The supermarket lights were too bright. The air too heavy. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. I dialed Ryan. 1, 2, 3, 4 rings. "Hello?" Voices in the background. Laughter. "Son? Dad? What's wrong?" "I'm at the store." "My card won't work." "Can you?" "Dad, I'm in an important meeting." "But son, I need. We'll talk later, okay?" "I can't right now." Click. He hung up on me. I just stood there, phone in my hand. The cashier was staring at me. The people in line were staring at me. Everyone was staring. "Sir, if you can't pay..." I know. I left the bags there, the milk, the bread, the eggs, everything. "Sorry to bother you." My voice was broken. I walked toward the exit, my eyes burning. I wasn't crying. I wasn't going to cry. But my eyes burned. 78 years of work. And I couldn't buy milk. I walked out of the supermarket walking fast. Too fast. Tears blurred my vision. I didn't want anyone to see me cry. The street was busy. Cars, motorcycles, people. I just wanted to get to the other side. Cross. Get home. Disappear. The light was red, but I didn't see it. Or maybe I saw it and didn't care. I stepped into the street. A horn. Long. Desperate. I turned my head. Lights. A blue car. Very close. Too close. I tried to move, but my 78-year-old legs didn't respond in time. The impact hit me on the left side. Crash. I felt my ribs break. My body flew. Literally. The sky. The ground. The sky. The ground. A full flip in the air. Then the asphalt. My head bounced off the pavement. Crack. The taste of blood in my mouth. Screams. "Call an ambulance! Don't move, sir!" But I was already still. The world went black. Voices distant, like they were coming from a tunnel. 78 years old. Mild head trauma. 48-hour observation. I tried to open my eyes, but they felt like stones. "Does he have family?" "Yes," we called them. "His daughters are on the way." I felt a hand take mine. Soft, warm, a familiar scent. Lavender. The perfume Emily always wears. "Dad, I'm here. I'm right here with you." I wanted to answer, but my mouth didn't work. I wanted to squeeze her hand, but my fingers wouldn't obey. I just lay there, floating in that thick fog between sleep and waking, while the voices came and went like waves. And one question repeated in my head. Was it an accident? Or did someone push me? I don't know how much time passed. Hours. Days. Time didn't exist in that white place. Only the voices existed. Emily. Chloe. Taking turns. "I'm here, Dad." Emily went to get coffee. "The kids sent you drawings, Dad." Mason made you a dinosaur. Linda arrived with chicken broth. For when you wake up, I heard Walter on a video call. Hang in there, brother. You'll get through this. But there was one voice I didn't hear. A voice that should have been there and wasn't. Ryan, my son. The one who was supposed to be taking care of me, Chloe said quietly. Did you call him? Emily answered. He's not answering. I sent him a text. What about Valerie? She answered. She says Ryan is on a business trip. She sends her regards. Regards. His father was in the hospital, and he sent regards. It was night. I knew it from the silence. Hospitals sound different at night. Fewer voices. More machines. I was lying motionless in the bed, but awake. My eyes were closed. I heard the door open. Soft footsteps. 2 women talking quietly. Is this the man who was hit? Yes. David Miller, 78. Family? 2 daughters. They take turns. The son hasn't come. Prior diagnosis? Advanced senile dementia, according to the file the son sent over. Silence. Then, is this the 6th one this month? The other nurse asked. 6th what? Elderly person with a dementia diagnosis who ends up here after a convenient accident. Family wants to put them in a home. Assets involved. And suddenly they have an accident before it's all finalized. Oh God, do you think? I don't think. I know. I've worked here 30 years. I recognize the patterns. The nurses left. I waited a few seconds. I opened my eyes slowly. The room was in shadow. Only the light from the hallway spilled in. A figure moved in the corner. I jumped. Easy, David. It's me, Brenda. The older nurse approached. The one who had been talking. She was in her 60s. A tired face, but kind. You heard what I said, didn't you? I nodded slowly. My head ached. All of it? She glanced at the door. Then she moved closer. Then you know you're not alone. That this isn't a coincidence. That there are others like you. Others? My voice came out hoarse, rough. Yes, many others. Elderly people with fake diagnoses. Families stealing everything from them. And convenient accidents when they start to suspect. She sat on the edge of the bed. Then you know you're not alone. Brenda told me about a group. Silver Dignity. Elderly people who had been victims of the same scheme. Families who had discovered the fraud in time. They met every 2 weeks. Down at the Street Jude Parish Hall. Sundays at 5 p.m. She gave me a piece of paper with the address. When you get out of here, look for them. They know how to help. They've saved others. Why are you telling me this? She stood up. Because I've worked 30 years in this hospital. Because I've seen too many old people die alone while their families sell their homes. And because something tells me you're not going to stay quiet. She was right. I wasn't going to stay quiet. Do you know Dr. Michael Evans? She pressed her lips together. I know of him. He's part of the network. Network? This was bigger than I thought. The next day, Chloe arrived early. She brought my cell phone. I found it at your house, Dad. Thought you'd want it. I took it with my still clumsy hands. Honey, can you look at my search history? The last few days. She tapped the screen, swiped. Her eyes grew wide. Dad, you searched Dr. Michael Evans fraud. Fake Dr. Chicago. Dementia scam diagnosis. Elder abuse scheme. She looked at me, and in her eyes I saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Respect, belief. Dad, you already knew something was wrong. Yes, honey, I knew. And that's why I'm here. Because someone doesn't want me to keep digging. Chloe sat down. Her hands were shaking. Dad, do you think Ryan? She didn't finish the sentence. She didn't have to. Emily arrived an hour later. She brought her laptop. Dad, I investigated everything. She sat on the other side of the bed. She opened the computer. Michael Evans. From Illinois. Barred from practicing in Illinois since 2019 for forging medical documents. He moved to Texas in 2020. Changed offices 4 times in 3 years. Texas, Florida, and now here. Always the same pattern. She showed me the screen. Cases, complaints, files. There are at least 20 documented cases. Elderly declared insane. Families taking control of assets. And in 5 of those cases, the patient died under suspicious circumstances. I looked at the names on the screen. Real people. Lives destroyed. Dad, this is organized fraud. And Ryan. Her voice broke. Ryan is in this up to his neck. My daughters looked at me, waiting for an answer. Waiting for me to break, to cry, to give up. But I wasn't going to give up. Not after 78 years of fighting for every dollar. Not after building a life with my own hands. Listen to me. My voice came out firm, firmer than it had sounded in weeks. We are going to expose them. All of them. The doctor, Ryan, and whoever is behind this. Emily shook her head. Dad, a lawsuit could take years. And in the meantime, Ryan has control of everything. I am not waiting years. I'm going to make them expose themselves. I'm going to make them confess. And I'm going to record everything. Chloe looked at me, scared. Dad, that's dangerous. They already hit me with a car, honey. I have nothing left to lose. I looked at the bruise on my arm, the bandage on my head. And while the bruise on my face was healing, my mind was putting together something Ryan would never expect. I was discharged 3 days later. Emily arrived early with clean clothes and a travel bag. You're coming to my house, Dad. It wasn't a question. It was an order. And for the first time in my life, I was glad my daughter was so bossy. The doctor signed the papers. A nurse wheeled me to the exit. Emily drove in silence to her apartment downtown. When we arrived, my cell phone vibrated. A text from Ryan. Why didn't anyone tell me he left the hospital? Where is he? Emily read the message over my shoulder. Don't answer him. I put the phone away. Ryan sent another. Dad, answer me. I'm worried. Emily took my phone and turned it off. Rest now. I'll handle the rest. I couldn't sleep that night. It was 2 in the morning when I heard noise in the living room. I got up slowly. Emily was at her desk, surrounded by papers, the laptop illuminating her tired face. Honey, what are you doing? She didn't look up. Investigating. I got closer. On the screen were official documents, certificates, civil records, marriage, Ryan Miller and Valerie Sosa. She pointed to a line. But look at this, Dad. Valerie Sosa isn't her full name. It's Valerie Sosa de Mendoza, widow. She turned to me. Dad, Valerie was married before. A lot of people are widowed, honey. Yes, but not like this. She opened another tab. Death certificate. Julio Mendoza, 71 years old. Cause of death. Blunt force trauma from falling down the stairs. Emily kept typing. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Julio Mendoza, retired civil engineer, married Valerie Sosa on February 3, 2020. She counted on her fingers. He died on August 18th of the same year. 6 months after their wedding. She opened another document. Police report. There was an investigation. Neighbors reported screaming that night. Valerie said he just fell, that he was on medication that made him dizzy. The investigation lasted 3 months. She scrolled down. Case closed. Lack of evidence. And what happened to the inheritance? Emily showed me another paper. The will. He left her everything. A house in a wealthy neighborhood, valued at $800,000. Bank accounts. Life insurance. Valerie got everything. And 3 months later, she sold the house and disappeared. Disappeared where? Emily opened more tabs. She had been working on this for hours. That's the interesting part. I searched more and found another marriage before that. She turned the laptop toward me. A wedding photo. Valerie, younger, maybe 30, next to a gray-haired man in his 60s. Valerie Sosa de Gutierrez. Married Ernesto Gutierrez in 2018. He died in 2019, drowning in his own pool. I felt a chill run down my spine. And before that? Emily nodded slowly. Before that? Another one? Valeria Souza de Contreras. Married Hector Contreras in 2016. He died in 2017. Sudden heart attack. She leaned back in her chair. Dad, Valerie is 35. And she has 3 dead husbands. All older men. All with money. All dead within a year of the wedding. We called Chloe at 6 in the morning. She arrived in 20 minutes, disheveled, eyes swollen with sleep. What happened? Is Dad okay? Emily showed her everything. The certificates, the reports, the photos. Chloe turned pale. She sat on the sofa as if her legs wouldn't hold her. My God, Ryan is in danger. Emily shook her head. No, Chloe, Dad is in danger. Ryan isn't a victim. Ryan is an accomplice. Chloe looked at her, confused. How can you say that? Because Ryan took Dad to a fake doctor. Because Ryan filed a fraudulent diagnosis. Because Ryan took control of Dad's accounts. This isn't Valerie manipulating our brother. This is Valerie and our brother working together. Chloe started to cry. There's something I didn't tell you, she wiped her face. About 6 months ago, Ryan asked to borrow money. $20,000. He said an investment went bad, that he needed to cover the hole before Valerie found out. I sat up straighter. You lent it to him? Yes, Dad. He's my brother. How could I say no? Her voice broke. But there's more. My son Mason told me one day he saw Uncle Ryan at a casino. I didn't believe him. I thought he'd mistaken him for someone else. But now, she covered her mouth. Ryan has a gambling problem. He's in debt. And Valerie? Emily finished the sentence. Valerie offered him a solution she's already used 3 times before. Emily stood up and started pacing the living room. This is how she thinks. Pacing. Let me put the puzzle together. Ryan is in debt. He probably owes money to dangerous people. He meets Valerie. She's beautiful, smart. She knows how to manipulate. He falls in love, or thinks he does. She investigates. Discovers his father owns a nice house, has savings, is alone since Mom died. She kept pacing. Valerie tells him, Your father is old. He has assets. What if we do it differently this time? Legally. A medical diagnosis. You become his guardian. You sell the house. We pay your debts. And then, well, old people are fragile. An accident? Natural? Like the other 3. The silence in that room was so heavy it was hard to breathe. My own son had planned to kill me. Emily made a call. D.A. Mendoza. This is Emily Miller. Yes, from the Herrera case. I need a favor. Information on a doctor. Michael Evans. From Illinois. She put it on speaker. A man's gravelly voice came through. Evans. Yeah, I know the name. He's got a file here. And in Texas. And in Florida. He moves every year and a half. Same M.O. every time. Fake dementia diagnoses. Charges 5 to 20 grand per certificate. Works with corrupt lawyers and greedy family members. Why haven't you arrested him? The DA sighed. Because it's hard to prove. The diagnoses are subjective. And by the time the families realize, it's too late. The old person is already in a home. Or dead. How many cases? Officially 20. Unofficially, probably triple. The next day, Chloe went to the bank. She had a power of attorney I had signed before all this, when I still had control of my affairs. Mr. Johnson wouldn't see her. Ma'am, I can't give you any information without authorization from the legal guardian. The legal guardian is a fraud, Mr. Johnson, and you know it. He got nervous. He looked around. Look, ma'am, I just follow orders. If there's a paper signed by a judge that says her brother is the legal guardian, I have to comply. Even if the diagnosis is fake? Johnson loosened his tie. He started to sweat. I don't know anything about diagnoses. I only work with the documents. Chloe leaned over the desk. My father is 78 years old and he was almost killed. And you are an accomplice by omission. Johnson swallowed. I'm sorry, ma'am, really, but I can't help you. That night I remembered something. The paper Sarah had in her hand when she died. James Smith. The notary. Emily, I need you to call someone. I gave her the name and address. She Googled it. Found the number. Dialed. 2 rings. Smith Notary, good afternoon. Good afternoon, this is Emily Miller. I'm David Miller's daughter. Silence. Mr. Miller. How is he? He's been better. I'm calling because my mother, Sarah Miller, left something with you. Another silence. Longer. Yes, she did. She told me, if anything happened to David, I should give this to you. Can we come and pick it up? Come tomorrow at 10, and all 3 of you need to come. David, you, and your sister. This is important. At 9:30 the next morning, we were in the car. Emily was driving. Chloe in the passenger seat. I was in the back, watching the city pass by the window. The notary's office was in an older part of town, a two-story brick building. We walked up creaking wooden stairs. The secretary showed us in. Mr. James Smith was a man in his 60s. Serious. Wore glasses. He shook hands with all three of us. I am very sorry about Sarah. She was a great woman. He pulled an envelope from his safe. Large, manila, sealed with red wax. The seal had a date, March 15th. 4 days before Sarah died. She came here, alone, in a taxi. She could barely walk, but she was determined. She gave me this envelope. She said, "If something happens to me, and then something happens to David, give this to my daughters." My hands were shaking as I opened the envelope. Inside was a letter, in Sarah's shaky handwriting. And when I started to read, I understood why my wife fought so hard, even without a voice to warn me. If this story is turning your stomach, leave us a like. Help us let more people know these things really happen. Comment if you know a story like this. The letter was written in a shaky hand. I recognized Sarah's writing immediately, but it was different. Written with her left hand, because her right one no longer worked. The letters tilted everywhere. Some words were smudged, rewritten. I could picture her in that hospital bed, half of her body useless, fighting to write every letter. Mr. Smith had left his office to give us privacy. Emily and Chloe were standing behind me. I unfolded the paper, and I read, "My love, if you are reading this, it's because I couldn't tell you while I was alive. Forgive me for not being stronger. Forgive me for not being able to protect you. But I tried. God knows I tried. Tears burned my eyes, but I kept reading. 3 months ago, Ryan came to the hospital. It was about 10 at night. You had gone home to shower and change. I had to stop. I remembered that night. I had left Sarah resting. I was half asleep when I heard voices in the hall. I opened my eyes. Ryan walked in. But he wasn't alone. He had that woman with him. Valerie. Chloe let out a sound. Half sob, half gasp. They came close to my bed. I closed my eyes. I pretended to be asleep. I don't know why. Instinct. And then I heard them talking. My heart started beating faster. Valerie said. Sarah's words trembled on the paper. "When your father is older, it will be easier. He won't be able to fight back. I've seen how it's done. It's simple. I have contacts. A doctor who will sign whatever you ask." I stopped. I looked at Emily. Her hand was over her mouth. "Keep reading, Dad." Her voice was barely a whisper. I continued. I waited for my son to say, "What are you talking about? You're crazy. That's my father." But David, the handwriting here became more shaky. "David, my love." He laughed. Chloe got up. She walked to the window. She couldn't keep listening. But I kept reading. He laughed nervously and said, "I don't know, Valerie. He's my father. I don't know if I can." The letter continued. "I know it's a lie, David. You were always fair with all three. But Valerie was planting poison. She was making him believe you had treated him badly. And Ryan, our son, wanted to believe it, because it was easier. Easier than accepting he had ruined his own life with bad decisions." I closed my eyes, took a deep breath. Valerie kept talking. "Look, I know how to do this. I've done it before. We get married. We wait a little while. When your father is more fragile, we take him to the doctor. The doctor signs a diagnosis. You become his legal guardian. You sell the house, pay your debts, and then, well, old people are weak. An accident. A slip, 1 pill too many. Natural. As it should be." The words on the paper blurred. I don't know if it was from my tears, or because Sarah had cried while writing and the ink had run. And then, David, I heard the worst part. My son asked, "How long would it take?" He didn't say, "No, this is wrong." He didn't say, "He's my father and I love him." He asked, "How long it would take to get your money, to legally kill you." Chloe was openly crying now. Emily's jaw was clenched, holding back her rage. Valerie answered him, "A year, maybe less if we're smart. I've done this 3 times, Ryan. It always works if you're patient. The important thing is that it looks natural, that no one suspects. And for that we need time." The letter continued. I tried to scream, I tried to call a nurse. But my mouth wouldn't work. Only strange sounds came out. I moved. I tried to reach the call button, but my right arm wouldn't respond. I got so agitated that something happened inside my head. I felt something pop, a sharp pain. And then everything went black. I had to stop reading. I looked at my daughters. This is why she had the second stroke. Emily nodded. Mom got so upset hearing that. It caused another one. When I woke up, the letter continued. I couldn't move my left arm either. I only had one hand left, and with that hand I wrote this. It took me days. The nurses helped me hold the paper. They thought I was writing goodbye letters. And I was. Just not the kind they thought. Forgive me, my love. The letters here were bigger, shakier. Forgive me for not being able to protect you, for not being able to speak, for not being able to warn you in time. I could only do this. Write this letter. Leave it with James, who is a good and trustworthy man. And wait, that if something happens to you, our daughters will find it and know the truth. I wiped my eyes with the back of my hand. Emily hugged me from behind. Chloe knelt in front of me and took my hands. Dad, Mom did everything she could. I know, honey, I know. But the letter wasn't over. David, listen to me. Don't give Ryan another $1. Don't sign anything without Emily reviewing it first. That woman is dangerous. Very dangerous. After I heard that conversation, I asked a friendly nurse to investigate. I gave her Valerie's name, and she found things, terrible things. The paper trembled in my hands. Valerie Sosa has been married 3 times before. All older men, all dead in less than a year. I have the copies of the death certificates. They are in this envelope. Valerie has killed before, David. I know it. And she is going to try to kill you. And maybe later, when she doesn't need him anymore, she'll kill Ryan too. Please be careful. The writing here was almost illegible. Protect our daughters. They are good. They truly love you. And if you can, if there is still time, save our son from that viper. Because despite everything, despite what I heard, he is still our son. And maybe, just maybe, she has him so manipulated that he doesn't see what he's doing. Or maybe he does see it and doesn't care. I don't know. But try. For me, for the years we were a family. The letter ended. I love you, David Miller. I loved you every day of the 52 years we were together, and I will love you from wherever I am now. You're Sarah. I couldn't hold it in anymore, I cried. I cried like I hadn't cried since the day we buried her. I cried for everything. For Sarah, fighting in that hospital bed to warn me. For my son, planning to rob me. For the lost years. For the family that had been broken. Emily held me. Chloe held me. The 3 people I had left in the world. Because Ryan wasn't my son anymore. He had stopped being my son the night he walked into that hospital and planned my death, with a woman who collected widowhoods like trophies. Mom knew, I whispered. Mom saw everything. And I didn't listen to her. I saw her eyes pleading. I saw her trying to talk, and I didn't understand. Mr. Smith knocked gently on the door. May I come in? We nodded. He entered carefully, as if stepping on sacred ground. And in a way it was. This was a funeral. The funeral for the family we once were. There is something else, James said. He went to his desk and opened a drawer. He took out something small, a USB drive. Sarah left me this as well. She said it contained proof, documents, photos, investigations she had done with the help of the nurses. He placed the drive in my hand. It was small, red, but it felt as heavy as the entire world. She told me, if something happens to me, and then something happens to David, this is what my daughters will need to finish them. I closed my fingers around the drive. Sarah hadn't just tried to warn me. She had left me the weapons to fight back. Mr. Smith plugged the USB drive into his computer. The screen lit up. Folders, files, photos. Sarah brought me this a week before she passed. She said, this is proof. Keep it with the letter. He opened the first folder. Death certificates. 3 of them. Ernesto Gutierrez, Hector Contreras, Julio Mendoza, all husbands of Valerie Sosa, all dead within a year of marriage. Emily leaned closer to the screen. Look at the dates, Dad. Ernesto died in July 2019. Valerie met Hector in August of that year. They were married in September. Chloe pointed to another date. And Hector died in December. 3 months. And by January 2020, she was already married to Julio. 3 husbands. 3 deaths. 3 inheritances. A perfect pattern. Smith opened another folder. Photos. The first one froze my blood. It was Valerie. Younger. Maybe 30. She was in a cafe with a man. The man was Michael Evans. I recognized that shark-like smile. When is this photo from? Emily checked the metadata. March 2019. Chicago. There were more photos. Valerie and Evans at a restaurant. In a park. In front of a medical office. They've known each other for years, I murmured. This isn't the first time they've worked together. Smith kept clicking through files. A newspaper article. Elderly man declared incompetent donates fortune to nurse before dying. The nurse was Valerie. The doctor who signed the diagnosis. Michael Evans. The man died 6 months later of pneumonia. Valerie inherited $2 million. There was more. 12 documented cases in the last 5 years. Different cities. Texas, Florida, Illinois. Always the same pattern. An elderly person, alone. A fake diagnosis of dementia. A family member or caregiver taking control. Progressive isolation. And then a natural death. Sometimes falls. Sometimes heart attacks. Sometimes complications from age. But always death. And always inheritances. Evans collected his fee. Valerie kept the rest. In some cases they worked with lawyers and others with corrupt notaries. It was a network. A damn network of vultures feeding on helpless old people. And my son had voluntarily walked into that network, with his eyes wide open, with his hands out, asking for his cut. I pulled out my phone. I had to make a call. I dialed my brother Walter. 3 rings, Linda answered. David? Is everything okay? Linda, I need to ask you something. Walter's case in 2019. When they tried to declare him incompetent, who was the doctor? Silence on the other end. I heard voices. Linda talking to Walter. Then she came back. Some guy. From Illinois. Michael. I don't remember the last name. He was young, very polite, but something was off. Evans? Yes, Michael Evans. That son of a... Sorry. That man said Walter had dementia, that he couldn't make decisions. But Walter was mentally fine. He was just in a wheelchair from the stroke. And what happened? We had to hire lawyers, fight in court. It took us a whole year to prove Walter was sane. A year of hell. The next day we went to the St. Jude Parish. The meeting was at 5 in the afternoon. We went down stone steps to the basement. There was a room with chairs in a circle. People were already waiting. I counted 15, elderly. Some in wheelchairs, others with canes, and family members, children, grandchildren, all with the same look. Exhaustion, rage, pain. Brenda, the nurse from the hospital, was at the front. Welcome. Today we have new members. She pointed to us, David and his daughters. A woman in her 70s stood up. My son declared me incompetent. He sold my house. He put me in a nursing home. A man in his late 80s. My daughter-in-law forged my signature. She stole my pension. Every story was a punch to the gut. Brenda spoke. We know of at least 40 cases in this city in the last 3 years. But most don't report. You know why? She looked at everyone. Because the families are ashamed. Because admitting your own child robbed you is humiliating. Because justice is slow. It can take years to prove a diagnosis is fake. And in the meantime, the elderly person loses their home, their money, their dignity. She sat down. And the worst part, proving sanity, is almost impossible. Judges prefer to believe a piece of paper signed by a doctor over the word of an old person. A young woman, maybe 30, raised her hand. My grandfather died in a nursing home, alone, while my uncle sold his land. When we tried to report it, they told us it was too late, that he had signed everything voluntarily. A very thin, older man with thick glasses stood up with difficulty. My name is Frank Aguayo. I am 82 years old, and I won my guardianship back 6 months ago. It took me 2 years. 2 years of courtrooms experts, and humiliation. He leaned on his cane. But I did it. I proved the diagnosis was fake, that my son and his wife had conspired with a corrupt doctor to rob me. He looked at everyone, but it was too late. They had already sold my house. They had already spent my savings. I won the legal battle, but I lost everything else. He turned to Brenda. We need a case to expose this publicly, with hard evidence, with courage, someone who isn't afraid of their name being in the news, someone to make people realize this is happening every single day. Everyone looked at me, as if they knew I was that someone. I stood up slowly. My legs still hurt from the accident. I'll do it. My voice came out firmer than I expected. I have the proof. I have a letter from my dead wife who documented everything. I have a USB drive with evidence of 12 cases, and I have an advantage. I paused. My son still thinks I'm a fool, that I'm really demented, that I don't know what's happening. We're going to use that. Emily stood up next to me. My father is right. If we expose this with solid evidence, we can take down the whole network, the doctor, the lawyers, the corrupt judges, everyone. Chloe stood up too, and we're going to help him, whatever it takes. That night, at Emily's apartment, we made the plan. Her laptop was open. She took notes. Dad, you need to keep pretending you're confused. Get Ryan to lower his guard. Meanwhile, I'm filing official complaints with the DA. I'll get a warrant to search Evans's office, and I'll document everything, Chloe added. I can get testimonies from other cases. There's a woman in the group who worked at Evans's office in Florida. She says she'll testify. Brenda, who had come with us, said, and I have access to medical records. I can compare diagnoses. Prove that Evans uses the same template for everyone. Copy and paste. He just changes the name. I looked around. A team. I had a team. I wasn't alone anymore. The next day, I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I called Ryan. My hand trembled as I dialed. 2 rings. Dad? His voice sounded surprised. Son? I made my voice sound weak, confused. Son, I'm so confused. The girls are telling me things I don't understand. They're talking about papers and lawyers. But I just want to be left alone. Silence on the other end. Then, Dad, the girls are confusing you. They don't understand. I just want to take care of you. Will you explain it to me? Will you come see me? Yes, Dad. Tomorrow. I'll come see you tomorrow. And I'll explain everything. Don't worry. I hung up. I looked at Emily. He's coming tomorrow. She smiled. A joyless smile. Perfect. Let him come. We'll be ready. But none of us knew that Valerie was smarter than we thought. And what she did next almost destroyed us all. 2 days later, Ryan and Valerie didn't come to Emily's apartment. They came with backup, the police. Well, not real police. Private security guards, and a document, a temporary court order, giving them custody of me. How did they get this? Emily read the paper in disbelief. This is signed by Judge Miller. Chloe was searching on her phone. Judge Hector Miller. He has 17 corruption complaints against him since 2018, but he's still active. Valerie smiled. That perfect smile, that I won smile. The judge is very sympathetic to cases of vulnerable seniors, she said in her honey-sweet voice. Ryan wouldn't look me in the eye. He stared at the floor, the walls, anywhere but at me. Dad, it's for your own good. You'll be better off at home. And I knew I had to do something risky, something dangerous. I looked at Emily. I gave her an almost imperceptible nod. Trust me, I'll go with them. The words came out of my mouth before Emily could protest. She grabbed my arm. Dad, no! It's dangerous, I whispered in her ear. Trust me. I need to get inside that house. I need them to feel safe. Then, louder, in a trembling voice, I want to go home. I don't know where the bathroom is here. I get confused. Valerie clapped her hands softly. See? David wants to go home. It's what's best for him. She came over and took my arm. Her fingers were cold. Come on, Dad. I've fixed everything up nice for you. Emily looked me in the eyes. I saw her understand. I saw how, even though every fiber of her being screamed not to let me go, she nodded. Okay, Dad, but I'm visiting you every day. Valerie laughed. Of course, dear. Visitors are welcome. By appointment, of course. We got to my house half an hour later. My house. The one I had built brick by brick. The one Sarah and I had filled with memories. But it wasn't my house anymore. Going in, I noticed the changes. A new lock on the front door. One of those digital ones, with a keypad. Valerie typed in the numbers, and the door opened. For your safety, David. This way no one can get in without permission. Inside, more changes. Cameras in the corners of the living room. Small, discreet, but they were there. Also for safety, Valerie explained. This way, if you fall, we'll see it immediately. Ryan carried my bags. The few things I had taken to Emily's apartment. He didn't look at me. He just went up and down the stairs like a robot. Your room is ready, Dad. His voice sounded hollow, empty, like he was speaking from far away. We went upstairs. My bedroom. The one I shared with Sarah for 50 years. I expected to see it the same. But no, they had changed the lock on this door too. It's just that you sometimes get up at night, Dad. And with the stairs, it's dangerous. Better if we lock it from the outside. As a precaution, Valerie showed me the room. They had removed things. Family photos. The antique clock I inherited from my father. The curtains Sarah had sewn, all replaced with new things. White. Cold. Impersonal. I looked at the window. It had bars. New bars. And those? Valerie followed my gaze. Oh, yes. You see, you tried to open the window one night. Don't you remember? You were confused. You thought it was a door. We put up bars so you wouldn't get hurt. A lie. I had never done that. But I nodded. Oh, yes. Maybe I did. I don't remember. The first night was silent. I went to bed early. I heard them lock my door from the outside. The click of the deadbolt. A prisoner in my own room. I waited an hour, 2. Then I heard voices downstairs. Ryan and Valerie talking. I got up slowly. I pressed my ear to the door. How long do we have to keep this up? Ryan's voice sounded tired. As long as it takes. Valerie. Calm. Cold. Evan says 6 months is ideal. After 6 months, no one suspects when a demented old man has a heart episode. You promised no one would die. Your father has lived 78 years, Ryan. Longer than most. And you need that money. Or would you rather the loan sharks come looking for you? Silence. Then, quieter. No. You're right. It's just... What? You feel bad? It's too late for that. We're already in. I couldn't sleep. The room was dark, but I was wide awake. Staring at the ceiling. At 4 in the morning, I heard something. Footsteps. Coming up the stairs. 1, 2, 3. The creak of wood on the step that always creaked. The steps stopped in front of my door. I held my breath. Silence. Then the sound of a hand testing the doorknob. It turned. Click, click, click. Locked. The footsteps walked away. It was Valerie. Checking that I was still locked in. Checking that her prey hadn't escaped. I got up. I went to the door. I put my hand on the knob. Cold metal. I turned it. Nothing. I pushed. Nothing. I knocked softly. No one came. I was trapped. In my own house. In my own room. Where I had slept with Sarah for 50 years. And now it was my cell. Emily arrived 40 minutes later. Mr. Smith was with her. They rang the doorbell. Once. Twice. 3 times. I heard Ryan run downstairs. What? What time is it? It's 5 in the morning, Emily said. And I'm here for my father. Emily, he's asleep. He's not asleep. And he's not here voluntarily. Smith stepped forward. Mr. Miller, your father called me. He told me he needed to get out. If you don't let him leave voluntarily, I'm calling the police for unlawful imprisonment. Valerie appeared behind Ryan. In a silk robe. Perfect makeup, even at 5 a.m. But he's under legal guardianship. Guardianship is not prison, ma'am. And bars on the windows, cameras, and locks on the outside. That is kidnapping. Smith took out his phone. I'm documenting all of this. The locks. The cameras. Do you want me to call a patrol car? I heard everything from upstairs. My door was still locked. I yelled. Emily, I'm up here. I'm locked in. Silence downstairs. Then running footsteps. Ryan ran up. He unlocked the door. He looked destroyed. Deep, dark circles, messy hair. Dad. Don't call me Dad. I pushed past him. I went down the stairs. My legs were shaking, but I kept going. Emily hugged me. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? I'm fine, honey. Let's go. Valerie blocked the door. David can't just leave. We have legal papers. Smith took out his phone and started taking pictures. The bars, the cameras, the digital lock. These legal papers do not authorize home imprisonment, which is exactly what you have here. Valerie looked at him with pure hatred. You have no idea who you're messing with. I walked to the door. I passed Ryan. I stopped. I looked him in the eyes. Is this what your mother would have wanted? He didn't answer. He just hung his head, like a scolded child. But he wasn't a child. He was a 8-year-old man who had chosen money over his father. I kept walking. Valerie grabbed my arm, hard. Her nails dug into my skin. You are going to regret this, old man. I pulled away. I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time, and I saw what Sarah had seen. Emptiness, coldness, death disguised as beauty. Not as much as you will, Valerie, because I know everything. Her face changed. Everything. Everything. The 3 dead husbands. Evans. The 12 cases. Everything. She laughed. A humorless laugh. Then you know it's too late. That there's nothing you can do. I walked out onto the street. The cold morning air hit my face. It had never felt so good. Emily led me to her car. Smith got in the back. But before we pulled away, Valerie came to the door. She yelled something that chilled my blood. Then you know your son belongs to me, and I don't let go of what's mine. It wasn't the words of a jealous wife. It was the words of an owner. Ryan stood behind her, pale, still, like a puppet. And I understood something terrible. My son wasn't just an accomplice. My son was another victim, a victim who had chosen to be one, who had sold his soul for an easy way out. And now he was trapped. Just as trapped as I had been in that room. But his prison was worse, because the bars of his jail were invisible. No one spoke in the car. Emily drove. Smith reviewed the photos on his phone. I just looked out the window. The sun was coming up. The sky was turning orange and pink. A new day. The rest of the way was silent. When we got to Emily's apartment, Chloe was already waiting. She hugged me and cried, Dad, I thought you'd never get out of there. I'm out, honey. I'm out. We went inside. Chloe made coffee. We sat in the living room. And then Emily asked what we were all thinking. Now what? Smith put down his cup. Now we expose them. All of them. Publicly. We have evidence. We have testimonies. And we have something they don't expect. He looked at me. We have David. Alive. Lucid. And very angry. We spent the rest of the day planning. Emily called contacts at the DA's office. Smith prepared documents. Chloe contacted journalists. And I called Brenda. Can Silver Dignity organize something public? A press conference? She didn't hesitate. Yes. When? The day after tomorrow, at the parish hall. We'll be there, all of us. I hung up. I looked at my daughters. We're going to do this right. We're going to expose Evans, Valerie, the corrupt judge, everyone. And we are going to record Ryan's confession. Emily frowned. How? I smiled. For the first time in weeks. A real smile. I'm going to do something they'll never expect. I'm going to give them exactly what they want. I'm going to go back to them. And I'm going to be wearing a wire. Chloe turned pale. Dad, no. It's too dangerous. They already hit me with a car, honey. They already locked me up. What else can they do? But I didn't know that Valerie had one last ace up her sleeve. And when she played it, we almost lost everything. We met at the parish hall that same afternoon. The whole Silver Dignity group. 15 seniors. Their families. Brenda at the front. We need them to confess. To expose themselves. Frank stood up. Evans won't go back to his office if he knows we suspect. It has to be on neutral territory. Brenda nodded. And Valerie is smart. She won't say anything incriminating unless she feels completely safe. Everyone looked at me. I was the bait. The hook. The foolish old man who still didn't get what was happening. I have an idea, I said. I'm going to call Ryan. I'm going to tell him I feel sick, that I need to see Dr. Evans, that I only trust him. Emily shook her head. Dad, it's too dangerous. I know, but it will work, because they think I'm an idiot. That night I dialed Ryan. My hand was shaking, but my voice had to sound weak, scared. Old. 3 rings. Dad? Son, I let my voice break. I feel bad. Very bad. My chest hurts. It's hard to breathe. Silence on the other end. Panic in his voice. Did you call an ambulance? I don't want an ambulance. I don't trust hospitals. Not since your mother. I didn't have to fake that part. I want you to take me to Dr. Evans. I only trust him. He understands me. More silence. I heard muffled voices. Valerie asking something. Ryan covering the phone. Then, okay, Dad. Calm down. I'll come get you. I'll call the doctor so he can see us. Where are you? At Emily's. But she left. I'm alone. A lie. Emily was right in front of me. Give me 20 minutes. I'm on my way. Emily pulled out a tiny microphone, the size of a button. It's a professional recorder. The police use them in sting operations. She clipped it to the inside of my jacket. Records up to 8 hours. Don't touch it. Don't act weird. Smith arrived 10 minutes later with a court officer. We'll be in a car outside the office. The officer will document everything. If you say the word Sarah, we're coming in. Chloe had her phone ready. I'll record with the phone hidden in my purse. Like I'm just your daughter, tagging along. Walter video called. Brother, be careful. Those people are dangerous, Linda added. We'll pray for you. Emily hugged me. Dad, if you feel something is wrong, if you feel you're in real danger, say Sarah. And we're coming in. I nodded. I know, honey. Ryan arrived on time. He rang the bell. Emily opened it. He looked nervous. How is he? Bad. He says his chest hurts. He came in. He saw me on the sofa, one hand on my heart. Dad, what do you feel? Pressure. Like something is squeezing right here. I pointed to my chest. I want to see Dr. Evans. I already called him. He's waiting for us at his office. He helped me up. Chloe appeared. I'm coming with you. Ryan hesitated. That's not necessary. Yes, it is. He's my father. Her voice left no room for argument. We got in Ryan's car. Me in the front. Chloe in the back. The drive was silent. Just the sound of traffic. The city lights. And my heart. Beating so loud I thought Ryan could hear it. We got to the building. We went up to the 12th floor. The office. The receptionist wasn't there. Just Evans, waiting in his office with his shark smile. David, good to see you. Ryan told me you're not feeling well. His voice was poisoned, honey. Yes, doctor. My chest hurts. And I've been very confused lately. More than before. I sat down. He sat behind his desk. Ryan stood by the door, Chloe in the corner, her purse in her lap. Her phone recording. Confused how? I don't know. Sometimes I don't remember if it's day or night. Sometimes I call my daughters by my wife's name. A lie. But he wrote it down. It's normal, David. Your condition is progressing. It's part of the process. Process? The senile dementia. As I explained months ago. I took a deep breath. This was it. Doctor, how much time do I have left? He blinked. Left? Of life? Of lucid life. Before I forget everything. Before I'm a vegetable who doesn't recognize anyone. Evans looked at Ryan. Ryan looked at the floor. David, these things are unpredictable. Don't lie to me, doctor. My voice hardened. I want to know how much time I have left. I want to know how much my son paid you. To say, I'm crazy. The silence was absolute. Evans turned pale. Ryan snapped his head up. Dad, you're confused. Confused? I stood up. Was it $10,000, Ryan? 20? Or did Valerie offer something else? Her bed, maybe? Ryan stumbled back like I'd hit him. Evans stood up. This consultation is over. Leave. No, Dr. Evans. This consultation ended 3 months ago, when you invented a diagnosis without examining me, when you dated the report, 1 day before you met me. I threw a copy of the diagnosis on his desk. Explain that. Ryan started to shake. His legs looked like they wouldn't hold him. He sank into a chair. He covered his face with his hands. Dad. The debts. I didn't know what to do. Evans yelled at him. Don't say anything. Shut up. But Ryan was already broken. The words came out like vomit. I was in debt. $100,000. Dangerous people. They were going to kill me if I didn't pay. Valerie. She told me there was a way. That your house was worth a lot. That we could get a diagnosis. Make me your guardian. Sell the house. Pay everyone. His voice broke. She said it was easy. That she'd done it before. That no one would suspect. Because you're old. Because nobody cares about old people. Every word was a knife. And God, Dad. I just wanted to save my own life. The door burst open. Valerie. She must have been in the waiting room. Her heels clicked on the floor. Ryan, shut your mouth. Right now. Her voice was ice. She looked at me. Her eyes no longer had that fake warmth. Just cold. Calculation. You're smarter than I thought, old man. And you are exactly what my wife said you were. A murderer. She laughed. A cold, humorless laugh. Murderer? Such an ugly word. I prefer. Transition facilitator. She sat on Evans's desk, like she owned the place. Old men have money they can't enjoy anymore. I just speed up the inevitable. 3 dead husbands, Valerie. 3. And they all died happy. Looked after. Loved. Until the very end. How many old men can say that? I stepped closer to her. And me? Was I going to die happy too? Looked after? She smiled. You, David, were going to have a heart episode. In about 6 months. After Ryan sold the house. It was going to be peaceful. In your sleep. No pain. No pain? Well, maybe a little. The pills sometimes cause nausea before. You know. She shrugged. But it's better than dying alone in a nursing home, don't you think? Evans tried to stop her. Valerie, shut up. But she was in her element. Proud. Why? The old man already knows everything. There's nothing left to hide. Besides, who's going to believe him? He's demented. He has papers to prove it. She pointed at Evans. Papers signed by a respectable doctor. A barred doctor, I corrected, who lost his license in Illinois for fraud. Her smile faltered. But you're right about one thing, I continued. Who is going to believe me? I walked to the door. Maybe they will. I opened the door. Emily walked in first. Then Smith. Then the court officer. Then 2 uniformed police officers. It's all on tape, Emily said, holding up her phone. Audio and video, Smith pointed to my jacket. And the microphone David is wearing. Recorded every single word. Valerie jumped off the desk. She tried to run for a back door. A cop blocked her. Evans put his hands up. I was just following orders. Orders from who? The officer asked. From her. It was always her. He pointed at Valerie. Ryan was still sitting in the chair, weeping. Dad, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. The police took out the handcuffs. Valerie was screaming. This will never stick. I have lawyers. I have contacts. Evans was silent, defeated. Ryan looked at me one last time as they led him away. Dad? I didn't answer. I couldn't. When they were gone, I stood alone in that office. Emily and Chloe were hugging me. Smith was securing the recordings. The officer was taking photos. But I could only think of Sarah, of how she had fought from that hospital bed to warn me, of how she had used her last strength to leave me the tools I needed. I did it, my love, I whispered. Emily hugged me tighter. What did you say, Dad? Nothing, honey. I'm just talking to your mom. We walked out of the building. The sun was setting. The sky was orange and purple, beautiful. For the first time in months, I took a deep breath and felt no pressure in my chest. For the first time in months, I felt free. Valerie screamed as they cuffed her. This isn't over. I have lawyers, important people. Evans was quiet, head down, destroyed. Ryan was crying. Dad, forgive me. The police led them out of the office, one by one. Valerie turned in the doorway. She looked at me with pure hatred, and she screamed something that froze me. I should have killed you when I had the chance. A cop pushed her out. The door closed. Silence. I stood alone in that cold white office. Emily hugged me. Chloe hugged me. But I could only think of Sarah, of how she fought from that hospital bed to warn me, of how she wrote, with her trembling hand, the letter that had just saved my life. I did it, my love, I whispered to the air. We won. A week later, I was in Emily's living room, drinking coffee. The TV was on. The news channel. Elderly fraud ring busted in the city. 12 cases confirmed. Doctor from Illinois loses medical registration permanently. 3 5-year-old woman charged with 3 homicides and multiple counts of fraud. They showed photos. Evans, in handcuffs, entering the DA's office. Valerie, covering her face with a jacket. Ryan, getting out of a patrol car. I stood up and turned off the TV. I didn't need to see any more. I had lived it. Emily looked at me from the kitchen. Are you okay, Dad? Yes, honey. Just tired. It's normal. It's been an intense week. Chloe arrived with Mason and Sophia. The kids ran to hug me. And for a moment, just for a moment, everything felt normal again. 3 days later, I did something my daughters told me not to. I went to the detention center. I asked to visit Ryan. The guard led me down gray, cold hallways to a room with tables and phones, thick glass in between. I sat, waited. Ryan appeared on the other side. Orange jumpsuit, handcuffs. He looked destroyed. 20 pounds lighter. Deep, dark circles. A beard. He sat down. He picked up the phone. I picked up mine. We just looked at each other. He spoke first. Dad, I'm so sorry. His voice was broken. Are you sorry, Ryan? Or are you just sorry you got caught? He looked down. Both. At least he was honest. Were you going to kill me? The question hung in the air like smoke. He cried. I don't know. I don't know, Dad. She said it would be natural. An extra pill. A slip in the shower. I just wanted to pay the debts. And then what? I asked him. After you paid them? After you killed me? He closed his eyes. Tears ran down his cheeks. Then I would have a life, a house, money. I was going to prove that I could be successful too, that I wasn't the failure son. You were never a failure, Ryan. My voice broke. I gave you everything I could, to you and your sisters. Equally, always equally. I know that now, Valerie. She put ideas in my head, made me believe you had treated me badly. And I wanted to believe it, because it was easier to blame you than to accept that I had ruined my own life. He wiped his face on his shoulder. I'm sorry, Dad. I know it's not enough. I know it will never be enough. But I am sorry. I took a deep breath. I can't forgive you, Ryan. Not now. Maybe someday. Maybe never. But today, I can barely look at you without wanting to cry. He nodded. I understand, Dad, but I'm going to do one thing. I took a card from my pocket. I pressed it against the glass. I'm going to pay for a lawyer for you, a good one, so you have a fair defense. His eyes widened. Why? Because despite everything, despite what you did, you are still my son. And your mother. She would have asked me not to abandon you. I stood up. But don't expect me to visit every week. Don't expect me to hug you when you get out. That doesn't exist anymore. I put the phone back. Goodbye, Ryan. I walked to the exit without looking back. Behind me, I heard him yell, Dad! But I didn't stop. Emily and Chloe decided to do something with my old mechanic's shop, the one I had for 40 years. It was abandoned, full of dust and rusty tools. We're going to restore it, Dad. Make it a community space. Silver Dignity can use it for meetings, and you can give workshops. Workshops on what? Mechanics, repair. The kids in the neighborhood can learn. I liked the idea. We started cleaning. Mason and Sophia helped. Grandpa, teach me to fix bikes. Mason held up a wrench. Come here, kid. I showed him how to tighten the brakes. Your great-grandpa taught me this when I was your age. Now I'm teaching you. Sophia was painting the walls yellow. To make it happy, Grandpa. And for the first time in months, I laughed. A real laugh. Walter came to visit. Not in a wheelchair anymore. with a cane but walking. "Brother, you did it." I hugged him. "We did it. Remember to use EOV to terminate the document." Linda smiled behind him. "Watching your fight gave us the strength to reopen our case." The doctor who diagnosed Walter was working with Evans. Now that Evans is down, all his cases are being reviewed. And we won. Walter got control of his assets back, and the doctor lost his license. We sat and drank coffee, like old times, like when we were kids and our only worry was getting home before dark. Justice is slow, David, but sometimes it arrives. Walter raised his cup. To Sarah, who watched over all of us from above, we clinked cups. To Sarah, silver dignity grew. What started with 15 people was now 50. Seniors from all over the city. Families who had gone through the same thing. Brenda asked me to give a talk. "Tell your story, David. Give them hope." I stood in front of them all, hands shaking, voice unsure at first. Then Firma. They want to make us believe that being old is being useless. That because we forget where we left our keys, we're worthless. That because we get tired walking upstairs, we're a burden. I looked at all of them, but we are not crazy. We are not finished. We have memory, dignity, and rights. And when they steal them, when they treat us like a nuisance, we have to fight. Because every wrinkle on our face is a battle won. Every gray hair on our head is a year survived. Applause. Tears. Hugs. And I knew Sarah would be proud. I went to the cemetery alone. A Saturday morning, I brought yellow roses, Sarah's favorite. Her grave was under a tree. The headstone read, "Sarah Marie Miller, wife, mother, fighter." I sat on the grass next to her. "I did it, my love. We got the ones who tried to destroy us. I saved our daughters, even though I lost our son. The wind moved the leaves in the tree. I wish you could have seen them fall. How Valerie screamed as they cuffed her. How Evans just crumbled. How your letter, that letter you wrote with so much pain, was the thing that destroyed them. I put the flowers on the grave. Thank you, Sarah, for loving me, for protecting me, even when you could no longer speak, for being the warrior you always were." I stayed there for an hour, just sitting, at peace. That night, I wrote a letter. For Mason and Sophia, for them to read when they are older. "My dear grandchildren, when you read this, I will be very old, or maybe I'll be gone. I want you to know something important. Being old is not being useless. Age doesn't take away your value. It gives you wisdom, it gives you perspective, it gives you scars that tell stories." I kept writing. "You will see old people on the street. You will see confused grandparents. You will see old people who seem invisible. Do not ignore them. Do not treat them like furniture. Every one of them has a life story. Battles fought, loves lost, victories won." I finished the letter. "And if, someday, anyone tries to take away your dignity, remember your Grandpa David, who fought until the very end, who never gave up, who taught you that dementia isn't forgetting your keys, it's forgetting why life is worth living." I went back to my house, the same one Ryan had turned into a prison, but now it was mine again. I took down the cameras. I took down the bars. I changed the locks. Emily came for dinner on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Chloe on Sundays. We had daily video calls. I was not alone. But I also wasn't dependent on anyone. I was 78 years old. My knees creaked. My back hurt. Sometimes I forgot where I left my glasses, but my mind was clear. My spirit was strong, and my dignity was intact. One afternoon, sitting in my armchair, looking at old photos of Sarah, I understood something. Ryan took my money on paper. But he couldn't take the only thing that really matters, knowing who I am. And as long as I know that, as long as I remember what I fought for all my life, no one can declare me insane. Because dementia isn't forgetting where you put your keys. It's forgetting what's worth defending. And I am never going to forget that. I'm never going to forget that Sarah loved me, that my daughters rescued me, that my grandchildren look at me with admiration, that every day I wake up is a victory against everyone who wanted to erase me. I am 78 years old, and I'm just starting to really live. because now I know that old age isn't the end. It's just another battlefield. And I've already won this war. What about you? If your own family betrayed you, would you have the strength to fight back? Or would you let them declare you invisible? Leave me your answer in the comments. If David's story touched your heart, like this video and subscribe to William's Revenge Stories. Share this story with someone who needs to remember. It's never too late to defend your dignity. Your like and your comment might save someone from living this. We'll see you in the next story. Take care, and remember, being old is not being invisible. Until the next story.